Welcome back to the homestead here. Today I have a really cool video for you. I'm going to show you how to build a raised bed. This is a 12 foot by 4 foot by 2 foot tall bed. And many of you out there watching might be like, why is he building such a tall bed? We're gonna be using these beds for a gardening practice called Hügelkultur. If you don't know anything about Hügelkultur, go ahead and look at the description below. I'll leave some links where you can research what it is. The short version of what Hügelkultur is it's a gardening practice that came out of Germany. Basically what they discovered is that when you take a log, sticks, branches, leaves, grass, any organic material that's not soil, lay it on the ground and then bury it in soil, it produces a rich, nutrient dense soil that retains moisture and releases heat. We're going to be doing that same method, but just in a raised bed. We originally found this from a guy that's on YouTube, Self-Sufficient Me, and he does Hügelkultur inside of his raised beds. And we wanted a bed that was gonna last a good while, that wasn't all built out of wood, and that was cheap to build high. Most raised beds out there are actually built of all lumber, and if you know anything about building materials, lumber gets expensive really, really fast. So what we did was we did a little bit of research, and we found people doing this method of raised bed by using corrugated steel. So let me show you what we got going on behind me. So this is the finished product. I wanted to keep the entire building process really simple and easy. And so I used 2x4s for everything. And the only thing that's not a 2x4 on here is the 1x1s that you see right here on the ends. I will leave a cut list of everything, all the materials that I'm using in the description below. I'll make this process easy for you. So if you want to go out there and do it yourself, you can. So let's go ahead and get started with this build process. All right, so this is what you're going to need. You're going to need 4 2x4x12s, about 4 2x4x8s, exactly 8 feet. And you're going to need some 1x1s. And you're also going to need 3 sheets of 12-foot long corrugated steel, and this is about 2 feet high. So far as the tools you're going to need, I'm putting everything together with nails because it's cheaper, because we're building like 20 of these beds. So you're going to need nail gun with nails, some 1.25" screws, a drill, and then obviously a drill motor. And then to cut the corrugated steel, you're going to need to use a grinder. You can use anything, you know, that will cut through the corrugated steel. I just found this is the easiest and quickest method. Also, you're going to need a saw, and in this case I'm just using a miter saw. So obviously do whatever works for you, whatever tools are available for you. But this is what I'm going to be using. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to be cutting is our 4-foot sides. And like I said, you need a full 8-foot board. A lot of these studs that you can find at the hardware store are not sold in 96 inches. I think it's like they're sold in like 92 and whatever. But you need 96 inches for an exactly 4-foot bed. And that's important, and we'll get into that later. So we'll cut our 8-foot boards right in half. All right, so we got our 4-foot sides. So you need 4 4-foot sides. Now we're going to go ahead and cut our leg supports, which are the supports that are going to go on each corner and then 1 in the middle. So that's 6 leg supports. But for the leg supports, they're going to have an 18-inch board in the center. So these are going to be leg supports from the outside are going to be 25 5/8, and then the board on the inside is going to be 18 5/8. So here's a middle leg support, and like I said, the outside is 25 5/8 and the inside is 18 5/8. And as you can see, the 2x4x12s are sitting on that 18-inch board. On the corner you still have your 25 5/8, and then you have your 18 5/8, and then This is where the 1x comes in. This is a 1x1 and it's 18 and 5/8, and that is strictly just to secure this corrugated steel to the front here, because as you can see, it needs something to screw into on the inside. So let's go ahead and get these leg supports cut up and nailed together. So if you have a full 96-inch 2x4, it'll be able to cut into 1, 2, 3 25 and 5/8 lengths, and then your last cut on the end will be 18 and 5/8, and I'll leave you with just a very minimum amount of waste. So that's the amount of waste you have left over. So after you're finished with your 25 and 5/8 cuts, you'll have 6 obviously, and then you'll only have 2 of your 18 and 5/8 cuts. So you're gonna need to have another 2x4 to finish out your 18-inch cut. All right, the last cut you're gonna make is on your 1x1s. Okay, the last cut you're gonna make is on your 1x1s, and those again are gonna be 18 and 5/8, and you're gonna only need 4 of those because they're just going on the corners. Now that all of our cuts are made, we're gonna take our 25 and 5/8 board and one of our 18 and 5/8 board, and all we do here, the simplest way to do it is I have kind of a jig board or a template. Obviously it's just a 2x4, and I lay it flush on the top of this on the top of this 25 and 5/8 board, and once it's flush, I just knock one in here. Turn it around, make sure we're flush on this side, which you're gonna be if you have cut everything straight. And then I just put, whoop, that was 2, but usually I just put 3 nails in here, and that's one of the centers. So we'll do 2 centers, and then I'll show you how to do the corners. Can't rub your rump on everything. She's good pig. Really good pig. Minor distractions from our pet pig. If you haven't met Fern, check her out in some of our other videos. So for the corner, all we're gonna do is take our one that we just made, and we're just gonna connect a 1x right there on the edge. And that's gonna consist of our corner. I just make it sure it's flush on the edge and on the tops, and then once it's good enough to go, I'll send 2 nails through here. And you don't want to put your nails too close to these edges, because this is just some cheap pine and it'll break for sure. So that's a corner piece just right there on the edge, and so we're going to make 4 of those, and then we're going to be done with our leg supports. All right, there we got all of our cuts made and all of our nails in our board. We have 2 middle pieces, and then our 4 corners, and then our 4-foot cuts for the sides, and then obviously our 12-footers we're not going to cut at all because they're just going to go straight on, no cuts there. So next we'll move over to our corrugated metal, and we will cut these accordingly. So obviously 2 of these sheets you're not going to cut at all because they're 12 foot in length. So this first sheet we're going to start with, we're actually just going to cut off our side metal for, and that side metal is going to be 44 inches. So 44-inch cuts, and we're going to use our grinder. All I'll do for this is just make a mark for 44 inches on both sides. And then I'll take a short piece of board and I'll line up both edges, and then I'll just mark it off. Like I said before, if you don't have a grinder, you can use some tin snips or something like that, right? They sell special tools to cut this metal with. I just don't have it. So that's it. You're gonna make 2 of these cuts, and your side walls will be done. All right, the last thing we're gonna do to our metal, and you're gonna do this not only on the 44-inch cuts, but also on the 12-foot sidewalls. We're gonna go ahead and drill our holes. It makes it way easier, and you can't get one of these screws through this metal anyway, so you need holes for it. So I've just found a proper diameter for this 1.25 inch screw that I'm using. You do the same. And then we're gonna try to go pretty close to the edges here, because on the vertical edges, we don't have much space to work with. So we want our holes to be decently close to that vertical edge. So we're gonna do one in the corner, one in the middle, and then on this edge, we're gonna make sure we get close, so down here in the center. And we'll just do the same thing on the bottom. For the holes on the that you're gonna drill on the 12-foot side metal, you're gonna want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the top, and then 7 on the bottom, and then you have 1 in the center down here on the edges. Same side, same thing over here. And that's where you're gonna want your holes on the 12-foot side. All right, now that we got all of our cuts made, all of it nailed together, and then all of our holes drilled for the metal, we're gonna go ahead and build this thing. You don't need level surface. Again, you're building a raised bed. It's not framing. It's not, crucial construction. It just needs to be square. That's it. And so for that, make sure you have a square, like a speed square, because you're gonna square everything up as you're putting it together. Let's go ahead and I'll show you how to put this thing together. I'm just gonna kind of lay it out like this. You want a corner and a corner, and then all we do is take our 2x4x12 and lay it on, and we will move this end over like that. One of the first things we'll do is we'll mark our center on our 2x12 at 6 feet. To make sure we got this support lined up in the center. The next crucial thing you'll want to do is make sure you leave enough spacing on the edge here. So on the edge, you're going to want to offset the 2x12 to have room for the other 2x4x4 that you're laying on the end wall. So you need to make sure that you have a width of a 2x4. You can just use this 1x1 as a template for where this needs to sit. So it's going to end right there, and you're going to square this up and then knock this in with some nails. So let's go ahead and do that. And then for the center support, we'll make sure we're in the center with this support. Make sure we're squared up here. Alright, so now once you have this part nailed in, you'll take your other 2x12, lay it on the top half. Get over here. So that's it. Now we got one side built, so we'll go ahead and build the other side, and then we will tie everything together on the end walls and get our metal on. All right, so once you got both of these walls built, the next step is gonna be, if you're one person doing this like me, you're gonna take one of your 4-foot links, put it on the bottom here, line it up as best as possible, as plumb and square as possible, and you're only gonna put one nail in it, just like this. That way, now when I lift this whole structure up, it's got something to sit on. All right, so once you have that side tacked in, you can stand that side up, then you grab your nail gun and you tack this side in. And like I said, this doesn't have to be square and perfect because we're going to adjust it as we go. All we have is one nail on each side here. And we'll make sure everything's square now, and then we'll nail it all together. The next thing we want to do is take another 4-foot section and put it down on that end. Once you have a nail in each corner, all you got to do is grab both edges and then just tilt them either this way or that to make it square. Square everything out. This is if you're doing it by yourself and you don't have anybody to hold stuff for you. And you'll see they just set nicely right in there. Now that we have the frame built, the next and last part is just to get the corrugated metal on here. You saw me drill the holes, pre-drill all those holes. So we're gonna take those pieces of metal and we're gonna shove them on here, and then we're just gonna knock them in with those 1.25" screws. But that's the simplicity of the frame construction. I did this so that they could be modular because we are building 20 of these beds, and I didn't want to sit and have to think about each cut. I wanted everything to be kind of like an assembly line, and I could get 5 people over here and we could just do them all real quick. All right, this last part is super simple. It's a little bit time consuming because I put so many screws in. The reason I put as many screws in as I do because I want it mounted flush up against the framing. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is the reason for the 5/8, so 25 and 5/8 and 18 and 5/8, is because I want the framing to be just a little bit higher than the metal, because when the kids are around these beds, I don't want them touching the top part of the metal and slicing their fingers open, because if you've ever sliced your finger on a piece of sheet metal, it hurts and it goes deep. Let's go ahead and tack these in. I got my holes drilled already, so we will get this corrugated metal on. All right, got the corrugated metal on, and that's that. We're all done. Obviously you've seen it from what I was showing you over there, but that's the one we just built. So if you guys are exploring Hügelkultur and you want to get into it, this is a perfect method to pursue. This is the cheapest version we found, and we are thinking we're gonna love it. That's it, guys. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to stay updated with what we're doing around here on the homestead. We have so many projects that we're working on, and the future is bright around here at Goshen. So thank you again for watching, and we will see y'all in the next video.